real quick, since we're at a stopping point, you've angled your thing at the
Look, because I'm
opposite
watching.
direction.
I understand that, but I'm watching this, and it's low when it's like this.
No, I'm saying you see how you got it at an angle? Put it at that angle. Yeah, and then swing the arm back that way.
Well, originally you had me do it like this.
No. I meant, see how mine is like angled this way?
Yeah, it's angled sideways. It's not right on you.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Angle yours this way, though. And then swing your arm closer to the wall. There you go.
Okay.
That opens you up to the camera.
Well, then why don't I just talk like this?
Well, no, talk like this is what I'm saying.
Because that's not normal.
Well, deal with it.
This is not normal to talk like this.
I don't talk like this. This is clearly going to be our
there. That's open. Good. That's a good sound wave right there. Look at it.
Love. Yes, I see that.
It went almost off the charts.
That's very impressive. Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of From Art to Atoms,
the Ultimate Curiosity Show.
I'm Brandon Shoemaker.
I'm Michael Fulse.
And this week we are talking about something that is very prevalent in society at large, but also it's a frequent issue for us in the classroom as well. And that is cell phone addiction.
Yes, because we're both addicted to our cell phones too.
That's going to be part of the discussion, though.
Well, I freely admit mine.
So part of what I'm going to discuss today is there's a difference that I found in the research between cell phone addiction and cell phone compulsion.
Okay.
And I would probably venture to guess that you probably fall more on the line of cell phone compulsion as well.
Okay.
So, although I think your score is going to be a little higher than mine. But
why is that?
Just based on what I know of you and your cell phone habits and stuff like that.
So I have a higher compulsion than you do?
Yeah, I think so.
And the higher the compulsion, I'm moving to addiction?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So just knowing your cell phone habits and stuff. Like, because you, at night, you get up to go to the bathroom, you check your phone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't. My sleep is far too important to me. If I get up to go to the bathroom, I don't even open my eyes on the walk to the bathroom and back.
Yeah, I do.
So,
I also use it as a flashlight to navigate the bedroom.
I just walk like an old man shuffling.
Yeah, but I have 3 dogs.
Well, I know that's what I was going to say. Well, Luca always stays in bed. He doesn't.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about possible accidents to step in on.
Oh,
it's happened one too many times. So usually I use my flashlight to navigate.
Oh God, yeah.
The minefield possibly there on the floor.
Okay. Luckily, Luca does not do that anywhere on the route from my bed to the bathroom. All right, so let's dive in then and talk about this. So since the topic is cell phone addiction, let's talk a little bit first about just the nature of addiction.
Okay.
Which most of us are already pretty familiar with. But addiction happens when our brain chemistry is altered by either a substance or a behavior. And so our brain chemistry creates this repetitiveness, this need, this drive to repeat the if it's drugs, the use of a substance, or to repeat a particular behavior that we get some sort of gratification or fulfillment from. And so that's also where, the line gets drawn between addiction or compulsion. Compulsion has not moved fully in the direction of altering the brain chemistry.
Gotcha. So it's it's before it touches that threshold.
Yeah, it's kind of like the equivalent of diabetes versus prediabetes.
Which is not a real thing.
What?
Prediabetes is not a real thing. Either you're a diabetic or you're not. It's prediabetes.
Right, but prediabetes is a term that scientists and doctors use to, let people in that zone know that, hey, you're on the verge of developing full-blown diabetes.
Okay. So then my compulsion, I'm on the verge of being addicted to my cell phone, basically, in that same kind of vocabulary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll
So,
fight you on that. I'll fight the addiction.
okay. Oh, well, yeah, fight the addiction, but but no. So when we talk about cell phones specifically, and the nature of, because there are some people who think, oh, you can't be addicted to a thing. It has to be a substance or something like that. But, we know that there are people who are addicted to all sorts of things.
Yeah, like thrill seekers are addicted to chasing tornadoes in the middle of storms.
Right. Or, well, I mean, I'm certainly not a thrill seeking addict, but
you know what I mean? Like a thrill seeker, like they go off and look for the biggest and fastest roller coasters and stuff like that.
Yeah. Michael is alluding to the fact that I have always wanted to see a tornado. And so there have been on more than one occasion, most recently just this past summer, when I went out trying to chase one that was blasting through Texarkana.
I was heading to town, right? And all the alarms are going off.
And I very, very suddenly realized, oh crap, I think I'm in over my head, when I was sitting in a parking lot and the wind was blowing all around me and I heard the sound of a freight train coming from behind me. And I was like, well, this is not a position where I can actually see anything and can only get hurt. So I hightailed it out of there. But no, that's not an addiction either, because it's not something that I have a drive
compulsion to do.
Yeah. But anyway, yes, people are addicted to that. People are addicted to sex. People are addicted to shopping in some cases. So, but it's all about the brain chemistry and about how those activities cause our brains to release different chemicals that give us the same sort of a high that a drug user gets from the brain chemistry of the drug that they're using.
Yeah.
And so when you look at phone addiction specifically, there are a couple of different physical or chemical things that can be observed by scientists that reinforce it. And one is called GABA dysfunction.
To what?
GABA dysfunction. GABA, which is short for gamma aminobutyric acid. GABA. And so it's an inhibitory neurotransmitter that produces a calming or euphoric effect. And it's something that chronic phone use can increase or decrease GABA production.
I thought it was something Thomas had because he likes to talk a lot.
But heavy phone use has been linked to an upsetting ratio of GABA to other neurotransmitters, which is one of the indicators of addiction. Another is decrease in gray matter of the brain. So basically what scientists have done is they have observed the brains of people who are addicted to their cell phones, and essentially it reduces the amount of gray matter in the brain, therefore giving their brains the same physical size and shape as that of drug users.
Okay.
So when we talk about cell phone addiction, there is a genuine addiction, clinically speaking, that is out there, and that some people suffer from.
Right.
Much in the same way, and of course, what we know about addiction is that you can't really get rid of it, you can't overcome it. You just have to learn how to live with it through abstaining from whatever it is. Could you imagine being an actual cell phone addict and having to just not use a smartphone?
Yes. I'd go to a flip phone if I could.
Well, you can.
No, I can't.
Define can in that case.
I cannot do what I do with school on a flip phone for work.
But you have an iPad right there in front of you that you could use instead.
I'm saying like on the go, though. Sometimes there are things I do on the go for school.
Good point. But think about 20 years ago, were our parents and the teachers who came before us, what did they do on the go?
Well, they did the same. This is the same argument that a kid's going to say when we implement you can't have cell phones at all in school. And they're going to say, well, I have to get a ride. I have to figure out if I'm getting a ride home from my mom, or I have to tell my mom I need a ride. And what we did was we planned accordingly. We figured that out before we didn't see our parents anymore. Our parents knew they were picking us up. So
exactly.
For me, I wouldn't plan on the go anymore.
Exactly. You'd have to plan accordingly.
Though, let's go back. Let's look at the science of the brain stuff, right? So Talk to me about this GABA
dysfunction.
Yes, again.
Okay.
So explain to me what it is, because when you were explaining, I was trying to see it in my head.
Okay. So, and my resource on this is coming from the Addiction Center, addictioncenter.com, which is it's a website that specializes in finding people help for all kinds of addiction. But this is their section specifically on cell phone addiction. So GABA dysfunction is I'm just going to read the paragraph.
Yeah, that's fine. Like I said, I'm just in my head. I'm thinking about what it is.
So this is what the website says about GABA dysfunction. Chronic phone overuse is proven to change reward circuits in the brain chemically.
Okay.
One of the primary affected neurotransmitters is gamma aminobutyric acid, or GABA.
Mm-hmm.
GABA is an inhibitory neurotransmitter that produces a calming or euphoric effect. It can even control fear and anxiety. The inhibitor plays a significant role in addiction by rewarding substance use and reinforcing addictive behaviors.
Okay, read the last two sentences again for me. Because what I'm trying to do in my head, I'm trying to picture what it's inhibiting.
Okay, it can even control fear and anxiety. The inhibitor plays a significant role in addiction by rewarding substance use and reinforcing addictive behaviors.
Yeah, but it doesn't tell you what it's inhibiting.
Hold on. There's another paragraph that goes with it. Research shows that chronic phone use can increase or decrease GABA production. Disturbances to the GABA system are proven to be a warning sign of addiction. In a study by the Radiological Society of North America, heavy phone use was linked to an upsetting ratio of GABA to other neurotransmitters. When teen test subjects received cognitive behavioral therapy for the disorder, their brain chemistry reverted to a non-addicted ratio.
Okay, so then the addiction increases production of GABA?
Well, it says it could increase or decrease. So basically what it's saying is it throws off the ratio of the GABA neurotransmitter in the brain.
Okay. Do you understand what any of that means?
Yeah.
So what's a regulatory protein? Like, what is that? A regulatory neurotransmitter.
Well, that's the one. A regulatory neurotransmitter regulates the flow of the brain chemistry, right?
What's a neurotransmitter?
It's a chemical in the brain that connects the synapses and conveys different. They turn on and off the
connections made between neurons.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I'm trying to get at. Is like what is it? How does it produce a positive effect or a negative effect if it's being produced in there? Like, so what it is basically your neurons are going to release neurotransmitters on the end of one neuron, and they don't actually connect up. So it's kind of like
there's a gap.
Yeah. I like to think of it as like a lake or a shore where there's two different sides of the shore, and neurotransmitters are on one side of the shore and they have to get to the other side. And so they have to swim across the synaptic space to get to the other side, which then kind of fires that neuron to continue the signal down. So what it does inhibitory though, is it prevents them. It's almost like prevents the neurotransmitters from swimming across.
Yeah.
It stops them. So they
so
never
it's like
make
a net in the water.
Right. They never make it to the shore. So the firing of the electrical signal in the neuron is never continued on. It stops. So it kind of, that's where it slows down and blocks that transmission. So that creates a calming effect on it. Okay. And so that's where I guess I'm confused at this, because how does it, if the neurotransmitter, if the increase in that produces a calming effect, how would cell phone use, you know what I mean? Like, we know that cell phone use, at least for our purposes in classrooms, increases anxiety, right? Like if they can't check it, it increases their anxiety and stuff like that. So how
when they can't check it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And just having that around though also can have that anxiety effect on them because of bullying and stuff like that. So how does that stop it from, do you see what I'm saying?
I think it has less to do with what they see once they have the phone or are looking at the phone and just using it, just having it, period.
Okay.
As opposed to not having it.
Okay.
Because think about that, just like you said, there is a lot of times you'll have students with anxiety over not having access to their phone.
Yeah.
And then they calm down when they have the phone.
Yeah. Well, you can have low levels of these inhibitory, neurotransmitters. And if you do, they have links to anxiety. They have links to insomnia and epilepsy also.
Mm-hmm.
So then by having the phone on there, let's say that I have high anxiety, and it happens to us too. When we get a notification, if we can't check it right away, let's say like we're in a professional meeting, right?
Yeah.
And we can't check it right away. Our anxiety might go up a little bit, it may. Yeah. And so then checking it then brings it back down.
Yeah.
So is there a release, I guess a connection of the release of it when you get to use it, like to...
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I interpret this to mean.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like if you're addicted to it, right? And it has something to do with that level of neurotransmitter in your brain.
Right.
Then give it into, I guess, let's say, give it into the drug.
Yeah.
And using the drug, does that increase this GABA release in the brain?
It seems to. Well, and it says it can result in an abnormal increase or decrease.
Okay.
So I guess it just depends. It doesn't go into that much detail.
I guess I'm just trying to rationalize what's going on there. That's all. It says the GABA is the most common
neurotransmitter.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Well, then I guess if it's...
So I'm wondering, it's not specifically to anything in particular. I guess it's a major inhibitory neurotransmitter in the human cerebral cortex.
Huh. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
All right. So that's the brain chemistry behind it.
Lead us through the waters, oh wise Moses. What direction?
All right. So let's talk about some of the warning signs of cell phone addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is still from the Addiction Center.
Okay.
All right. Lying about smartphone use. Loved ones expressing concern.
Okay.
Neglect or trouble completing duties at work, school, or home.
Mm-hmm.
More and more time using a phone. Checking people's profiles repeatedly due to anxiety.
Okay.
Accidents or injury due to phone use.
Okay.
Working later to complete tasks.
I'm assuming because you're not getting your time management taken care of.
Right.
Okay.
Weak or non-existent social life. FOMO, fear of missing out.
Okay.
Isolation from loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
A feeling of lack of connection.
Okay.
Angry or irritated if phone use is interrupted. That's one we see from our kids all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Getting up at night to check a phone. Reaching for the phone the moment they are alone or bored. Phantom vibrations, thinking the phone buzzes when it doesn't. Have you ever had that?
No.
I have, and it's weird, but that's associated with another thing as well. I forget what it's called. I'll have to look it up.
Okay.
Difficulty limiting phone use, and then craving access to a smartphone or other device.
Okay. I just want to point out that whole list. You could replace the phone with any drug.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And I also find it interesting that you suffer from being alone or disconnected.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that was one of them, I think it was, or something like that in there.
Several.
When usually the phone is what's supposed to connect us closer and more.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, okay. So those are all symptoms of addiction.
Right.
All right. What are does it have a list of symptoms of the thing that we are? Is it compulsionary or?
Well, funny you should ask. There's actually a test we can take.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
All right. So I already took this test earlier, so we'll do you now, and then I'll share with you my score and results. This came from the Mayo Clinic, but this is actually from a study that is, I guess it's continuing to be conducted by Kwan and colleagues.
Okay.
Whoever that is. All right. So all of these questions, you will respond with a strongly disagree, weakly disagree, weakly agree, or strongly agree. So you've got a six point range that you can.
I'm just going to give you numbers then.
That's fine. So 1 being the lowest, 6 being the highest.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I miss work that I planned due to smartphone use.
1.
Okay. I have a hard time concentrating in class while doing assignments or while working due to smartphone use.
2.
Okay. I feel pain in my wrists or at the back of my neck while using a smartphone.
1.
Okay. I wouldn't be able to stand not having a smartphone.
1.
Really? Coming from what you were saying earlier.
I could go without it. I'm just saying I could.
Okay. I feel impatient and
Make that one a 3. Make that one a 3. Let's do that one as a wash.
Sure. Okay.
Yep, that's a neither here nor there one.
Yeah, weakly disagree. I feel impatient and fretful when I am not holding my smartphone.
No, one, I don't feel impatient at all.
Okay.
Nah, I feel impatient when I drive, but not there.
I have my smartphone on my mind even when I'm not using it.
Like, are you in a relationship with your smartphone? Like, what is that?
I know, right?
Like, oh, I love you, smartphone.
I think about you even when
Let
you're
me
not
count
there.
the ways. The gentle ringing in my pocket. No, that's a 1. No,
Okay.
I do not feel.
Right. Okay. I would never give up using my smartphone, even if my daily life were greatly affected by it.
I would put that as a 2, maybe.
Okay. I constantly check my smartphone so as not to miss conversations between other people on Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, or other social media.
3.
Okay.
Because I don't actively participate in conversations. Just a matter of mindless scrolling. I guess.
I use my smartphone longer than I intended.
That's probably a 4.
Okay. People around me tell me that I use my smartphone too much.
3.
I am addicted to my smartphone.
3.
Okay. All right. And your age is 44. Your gender is male. Your country is...
Why does the country matter?
Because it's going to give you the results of other people. It's going to compare you to others. Which iPhone do you have?
I don't know. What are the options?
I mean, it just asks for the
iPhone X10. I don't know. Whatever.
You at least have a 12.
Okay.
We'll put 12.
Does it give you the options? Does it give you the results for other countries?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I'd want to see what China's is.
Okay. I actually scored higher than you. So your score is 21. The high risk threshold is 33. So it says you scored 21 out of 60, suggesting less smartphone addiction than 61.5% of 44-year-old men in the US. So your score was highest under longer use than intended.
Yeah.
That was really the only one that was high.
Those are the moments like when I don't sleep and I'm up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I get on Instagram and I just scroll.
Yeah.
Or I get on, like, I'll look at Reels and I'll get on TikTok and just look at videos mindlessly, not really searching for anything, but just scroll after scroll after scroll. And then I end up finding like these videos where the cops are coming to arrest people. And I'm like, I'm watching that one. And then those are like part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. And I start getting into there. Or like the ones with the judges where they're like telling people, you know, someone's rude to the judge or the court or disrespectful to the court. And the judge is like, I'm going to punish you. And I watch those videos.
I don't think I've ever seen any of the
those
judge
are good.
videos.
Those are good.
Oh.
Especially when they do the teleconference ones.
Oh.
Those are fun.
No, I'm a sucker for any dog video. Well, the ones that I send you, you know, any kind of a dog video.
See, but then like you and Thomas always ask me, did you watch the video I sent you? I never check the messages.
No, you never have.
I'll send them, but I never check the messages because I'm not using those things to communicate back and forth. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a messaging service for me.
Right.
So I don't do, like, he's always like, did you check my messages? And I'm like, I'll go into TikTok and it's like 44 messages.
Yeah.
Because I never check them.
Well, and TikTok especially, I never get on unless unless they send me a link in Messenger.
Right.
Messenger. So that's
right.
That's really the only time that I get on. I don't use TikTok.
Yeah.
Really. I have a profile on there, but I don't actively use it. Instagram is the one that I'll use most frequently, that and YouTube. But again, it's so anyway. So like I said, you know, you scored 21. My score was, I think, a 23. And the risk threshold is 33.
Send me a link to that.
Sure.
And I'll send it to Thomas and ask him.
But anyway, you know, like I said, that you said at the beginning that you definitely knew that you were addicted to your phone. But as this indicates, you know, it's not so much that you're addicted to it. You just have a compulsion to use it.
Right. And a lot of mine is out of boredom.
Yeah, mine too.
So I know in your district, like, they frown upon teachers being on their cell phones. Administration does and stuff.
They do.
Oops. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, isn't that pretty much any district in the country?
But see, no, it's not, because my district, that's how they communicate with us.
Oh, well, ours do too.
They communicate more through our cell phones than they do email.
Yeah.
And so I do have a charging station on my desk.
Uh-huh.
It's one of those charging shelves that has the shelf and then it's a dock, I guess.
Yeah.
And so it stays there. But there are moments like when the kids are working on something, when they're taking a test.
You pop open Instagram or...
No, I don't do that. I just check the screen if there's a message.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I won't get on the social media stuff at school, but I will check to see if there's a message coming across or something like that, like a notification. But I will tell you that for me, having my cell phone in there has been really nice because I've started using Siri a lot. And to set timers for things.
Yeah.
When the kids go to the bathroom, our passes say they have a 5-minute time limit. So I sign the bathroom pass for them out and I put a 5-minute timer on it.
Oh,
and
that's a good idea. I need to start doing that.
With my watch on, even without my watch on, I can be at the front of the classroom and my phone could be at the docking part of my desk.
Yeah.
And let's say that I give them a time limit to do something. I'll say, hey, Siri, give me a 10-minute timer.
Right. Oh, did she do that on the iPad?
Yeah, she did. But so for me, doing that has become a helpful tool for me.
Yeah.
Whereas before, to go through setting a timer, you'd have to manually pull your phone out.
Yeah.
Set the timer. And we do have a timer function on our smart boards.
Yeah.
But even that,
you have to access it. You have to go through.
I can't just call it out and have it automatically start.
Exactly.
And so it has become a lot. Let's see. I think he just finished the survey.
Well, and honestly, while you're checking that, what you're talking about there really goes back to a much larger issue, which is just simply the topic of technology in the classroom.
What were you?
It's a double-edged sword. 23?
He was a 25.
Okay, so he is the highest out of all of us. But technology in the classroom it's always been a double-edged sword. It helps us, it does all these good things, but then there's the downside of students constantly wanting to use it and it being a distraction.
Right. And we've done this battle before.
Oh, absolutely.
Where we went through, we might as well embrace it. It's there, why fight it kind of thing. But at this point that we're in now, we're like embracing it's not helping us either,
Well, yeah. And it's specifically cell phones, because that's like, I think you say, well, we might as well embrace it. What pops into my head is the most recent issue, which is ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And like we talked about on our ChatGPT episode, it's here to stay, whether we like it or not. And so we have to figure out how to incorporate it in useful ways rather than trying to fight it when it's a losing battle.
Yeah. No, I don't deal with that aspect, I guess, on my end in the classroom. Mine is usually the distraction that comes from having it there.
The cell phone, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then also the camera function on there is where they're taking pictures of things.
Yes.
Like, let's say first period, one kid will take a picture in first period and then share it out with everybody throughout the day so that it's out there.
Right.
That's the one, I guess, the biggest things. Thomas is like, I said, you got a higher score than both of us. I was a 21 and he was a 23. He goes, I guess that's bad or good. I said, higher score leads to cell phone addiction. He goes, okay. Well, I was below the threshold.
Well, and two, just like, most surveys that are written like this on a, oh my God, I used to know the term where it's a scale like that. Agree, disagree, somewhat agree.
Yeah.
So, my gray matter is shrinking, I guess, from my cell phone addiction. But any kind of survey like that, it is typically, take the survey again tomorrow and you may not get the exact same score.
Yeah. No, I get that.
So it's not, a hard and fast data point, really.
So I will say, like, okay, so we're both teachers, right? So we deal with this in the classroom every day.
Yeah.
But Glenn, when he came up for Thanksgiving, Glenn's my father-in-law. He's an engineer, supervisor, deals with a lot of newer engineers coming into the business. And he has said that newer professionals have these same issues coming out of college that the kids in school have. So they're carrying these things.
Yeah.
These behaviors. They're continuing these behaviors
into the
their
workforce.
Professional lives. And so, because that's one thing that he said that he's dealing with now with new engineers is that they're walking on these phones and not paying attention to what's going on.
Yeah.
So
well,
it's
and
not
I think
just for us in education. It's
exactly. I think that's true of pretty much all industries at this point, because it's, for us teaching high school, one thing that we're always kind of attuned to is, what are the expectations that colleges want? What do they want us to do to better prepare our students for when they go to college?
Just like the same expectations there for the lower grades for us.
Exactly.
Right.
And so, that's one of the issues that, colleges and professors have been saying for years is an issue for them. But it's just the next step for these kids. It's, it's going into the workforce and still having the same issues of constantly being on their phone and such like that. So,
all right. Well, I can't even imagine being a younger grade teacher, like say 5th grade, having to deal with this. And, several years ago, it wasn't at that level of grade wise. And it's become lower and lower in grades to the point where like we can say, okay, you're an adult, or not you're an adult, but you're a young adult.
Yeah.
You know that your behavior has consequences. Therefore, you do you live with the consequences. But if you're an 11-year-old, you can't really say that. You know what I mean? Because it's not there. So I couldn't imagine being
a 5th grade teacher and
dealing with it. Yeah.
I will say, and now granted, this was a very small sample size, but recently when we did Tarzan, we had some elementary kids in the show and some middle school kids as well. And none of those kids had a cell phone because we all had to contact parents and stuff to get them to coordinate rides and end times and things like that. So at least for those kids, they didn't have a cell phone.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are some schools elementary schools particularly, that don't allow them to have them at all.
No, I'm not saying they don't allow them. I'm just saying they're on their body, whether they're in their bag or pocket, or
whether they
something.
admit it or whatnot.
Right.
Yeah. But no, it's, I mean, I think it's just for better or worse, it's just a sign of the changing culture of today, because we are becoming more and more increasingly dependent on this technology. Just like you said earlier about, coordinating rides with mom or dad. Oh, well, they've got to have their cell phone for that. Well, we had to do that and coordinate rides when we were in school and never had a cell phone.
Right.
So, but that's the thing. We have become dependent on that mode of communication. We've become dependent on that immediate access.
Right.
Parents as well to their children. They're like, well, no, I want my kid to have a cell phone because I want to be able to get in touch with them
at all times of the day.
Yeah, at any time.
Okay, but that right there, and I understand that aspect when there's an emergency, having that, because we do have more school-wide emergencies, campus-level emergencies now, lockdowns, active shooters, stuff like that than we did when we were in school. So I get that.
Yeah.
But you should not be in contact with your kid all day long. Because when that kid goes to college, when that kid enters the workforce, you are not going to have access to that kid all day long.
Exactly. Well, if they still have their phone on them all the time,
and they do,
you'll still have access to them. It won't mean necessarily that little Johnny is going to be willing to respond. Let's put it that way.
I understand that, but there's a professional level, I guess. Like when you talk about professionalism in the workforce, you respect the boundaries of that. You're at your job. Do you know what I mean?
I get what you're saying.
Like my mom talks to me every day.
Yeah.
But she does not contact me throughout the day because she knows I'm at my job.
Right.
And I don't contact her during the workday because she's at her job. There's a boundary that we've set up there out of respect for we know that you're at work. But the thing is like these parents, like for us in school,
well, they don't respect that boundary. And also, I don't think that they probably have that same boundary for themselves a lot of times.
Yeah.
Especially younger parents, because they, just like what we've been saying, they don't have that approach. They don't have that boundary. It's not it's not
because
a boundary
they've never lived without it.
Right.
Cell phone's always been in their lives. They've never experienced life without it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because, going back to, the generation discussion, we Zennials bridged that gap between not having technology and then having technology. Whereas, millennials and younger, it's always been there in some form or another.
Yeah.
And so, it's like I said, it's just a part of our society
culture.
today,
Yeah.
our culture. Yeah. And, it's not going away. And so clearly there are issues that need to be tackled. And we haven't even touched on things like, mental health associated with social media and things like that. That's an entire other discussion we could have, just looking at especially young girls.
Yeah.
And young boys too, but to a lesser extent, they have a lot. I see so many students now who suffer from, body dysmorphia and have negative body images of themselves because of social media.
Mm-hmm. So
that's a real dilemma.
So, everyone knows both of us are both teachers, so we see the cell phone battle in the classrooms a lot. So I will say that my school district apparently is implementing the Yonder pouches after Christmas on the campus.
Implementing what?
The Yonder pouches.
Yonder pouches?
Just the company brand name of the little cell phone lock pouches.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you teach in Texas, I teach in Arkansas. Arkansas just recently this past year for the 24-25 school year, the governor of Arkansas implemented some kind of, I don't know if it's a grant or something, but funding to help counteract the cell phone usage in schools.
Oh,
and
okay.
that goes to mental health resources, telehealth resources, and also physical pouches to put these phones in during the school day.
Right.
And so they recognize that the cell phone usage is not only hurting mental health, but also increasing educational gaps.
Yeah.
July of this year, 24,
Mm-hmm.
the governor and education secretary announced that the state would make grants available to schools, local schools, to alleviate the unfolding crisis, unfolding like it's something new, of youth depression, anxiety, and isolation caused by excessive cell phone use among juveniles.
Mm.
So the grants can be used to pay for mental health services via telehealth technology, and also for securing pouches in which students lock away their cell phones during the day. Each pouch costs about $30. Teachers and other school personnel will have special magnets that help unlock them. So it's a magnetic pouch that seals, much like when you go to a retail store, how they have the
and they have the
dye
magnetic
pack
security
on it. Right.
thing.
The anti-theft dye pack that they will magnetically take off.
Yeah.
Okay, so very similar to that. It's optional, which I think is the weirdest thing. So
For the student?
No, for the district to apply for the grant.
Oh, okay.
They're not requiring it.
Well, and they probably want to use the ones who opt in as pilot studies.
They are, but still. So some school districts have already limited cell phones in classroom, reporting positive results, not just in academics, but in also student behavior. Okay, so that's it. Anyway, so we're going to go to pouches apparently. Like I said, I don't know for sure. That's the word on the street. So we're going to pouches. And I will say the kids, they've heard the rumors. They are very anti-pouch for sure. And we get all of the, how am I going to know if I'm getting a ride home or whatever? And I'm just like, we survived before. You'll survive after. You'll have to make adaptations to it.
Yeah.
And then the most recent comment I'm getting is that, I'm just going to get a burner phone.
Yeah.
So with everything, they're going to find a way around it.
Of course.
And NWA, the National Education Association, they did a survey.
The NWA?
What did I say? NEA.
Okay. Yeah.
I said NWA.
Yeah.
NEA. Sorry. So this is coming out of October 3rd of this year.
Okay.
So recent, right? So cell phone bans in schools are proliferating in the face of the mounting evidence that the devices are taking a serious toll on students' ability to focus in the classroom and their overall mental health. District policies are vague, inconsistent, and difficult to enforce.
Mm-hmm.
That's our issue there.
Yeah.
Educators and the unions have been advocating for tougher and more uniform approaches that allow them to spend more time teaching in their classrooms and less time policing cell phone usage. 90% of NEA members who support cell phone policy prohibit cell phone personal device time during instructional time. 83% of these members support cell phone personal device usage during the entire school day. I'm for the school day.
Yeah.
And I think it's because when you open up any time that they have it on them. So let's say, and so what we have now in place is they're not supposed to be on them in class during instructional time, right? Define instructional time. So most administrators define that from bell to bell.
Yeah.
even though bell to bell is not.
There's wiggle room.
Right. So then, and saying that your policy is for instructional time,
Mm-hmm.
well, I mean, if there is even like a 3-minute transitional time,
Mm-hmm.
or you're waiting for someone to get caught up
Yeah.
and you're done everything, technically that's not instructional time to the kid.
Yeah.
The wording on that is very difficult. It should be bell to bell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The thing is, though, that let's say that, so like I said, we have policies right now where they're not supposed to be on them during transition in the hallways, which they are.
Right.
And they can use them at lunch.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So if I'm using them at lunch, then, and this is the reason why I'm for the entire day, because I can't stop a conversation because the lunch bell has rung. I go through lunch. I'm a student. I go through lunch, use my cell phone. I got my fix. Do you know what I mean? Like, I haven't touched it all day. I got my fix around midday.
Yeah.
And they expect me now to go back into class and not continue a conversation that started at lunch on my phone.
Right.
Or something else. So having it throughout the entire day kind of alleviates and prevents that from happening.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm for all day. But the districts are all doing their own thing. And I will say that 15 states have passed laws or enacted policies that ban or restrict students' use of cell phones in school statewide. So out of all of our states, only 15 have as of September of this year.
Yeah.
And they vary from hardly anything at all to a campus ban.
Yeah.
Incentive policies are in place for, I guess, districts using a ban or some kind of policy in it.
Mm-hmm.
Arkansas, Delaware, Idaho, and Pennsylvania. Recommended policies: Alabama, Alaska, Connecticut, Kansas, Oklahoma, Oregon, and Washington.
Okay.
Required policies: California, Indiana, Minnesota, Ohio, Virginia. And states that have gone full on restriction: Florida, Louisiana, and South Carolina.
Well, I can tell you right now, South Carolina, that is not enforced at all.
Let me see what South Carolina's is. It's newer. It's not effective yet.
Oh, okay.
It was just signed into law this past July.
Okay.
So let me look at South Carolina. So South Carolina legislature includes a condition in its 24-25 budget that requires districts to implement a cell phone policy to receive state aid. The budget directs the State Board of Education to adopt a model policy that prohibits access to personal electronic communication devices by students during the school day for districts to implement by January of 25. At the very least, districts must require students to keep their phones or connected devices, such as smartwatches, turned off and in their backpacks or lockers during the school day. And that's my issue right there.
Yeah.
Is that you're giving them basically this wide range of options.
Yeah.
And you and I both know put it in their backpacks is not an option.
No.
Like, you might as well just say, just have it in your hand.
Yeah.
Because then you're policing it all day long. Because it's never in their backpack. As long as they have pockets, it's never in their back pocket.
Yeah.
And I've seen
back pocket.
Yeah, the back pocket. The girls put it in their waistbands.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, anyway, districts can decide whether to enact stricter rules as well as the consequences for violating them. So the state has basically said, you better have this in place if you want it, but we're not going to tell you what it's got to be.
Exactly. And I guarantee you, on the school level, it's not getting.
It's going to be the smallest degree.
Yeah.
Most schools are going to be, it's got to be in the backpack. Louisiana, an existing Louisiana law that prohibits students from using cell phones while on public school grounds and buses has been amended with additional restrictions. The law now requires students to turn off their devices and stow them away until the end of the instructional day. This law has exceptions to students who have IEPs, which require those devices. Diabetics have the monitors on their phones, all that.
Yeah.
They all have something in there. Florida does too. But again, we're going to require that you turn them off. How do you police a kid turning their phone off?
Yeah.
Like, that's the law. You know what I mean?
It's a law with no teeth.
Right. And I don't like the fact that South Carolina has put this in place, and it's included as a condition for schools to receive funding.
Yeah.
So that means they're going to put in, okay, we're going to put the words in there so we can get our funding, but
that's exactly what's going to happen.
This is supposed to take effect on the January 1st of 2025. So I will say the pouches in the local areas of Arkansas, like our local districts in the Arkansas area, have seen
positive results.
Yes. And so, Texarkana, Arkansas, TASD.
Yeah.
They probably the largest district in our area that has implemented something like this so far. And they've seen an increase in talking, personal communication with the kids, because they've seen some discipline stuff. Fights have gone down. Number of fights have gone down. And so there are positives there in that aspect of it. But they're still like first year in implementation, a lot of things. And they're really kind of ironing out a lot of things too.
Right.
Which I'd be interested to talk to someone over there to see how that's happening.
Yeah.
So that is what's going on. Now I will say also for your state, for Texas, Texas actually has, let's see, I don't know if this is part of the Texas Educational Code 37.082, coming from the 2023 regular and special sessions, signed in. And I think this is funny, but this is section 37.082, possession of paging devices. Why are we still calling it that? Again, antiquated stuff, because we don't want to call it what it is, but it's not a paging device.
No.
Okay. So the Board of Trustees of a school district may adopt a policy prohibiting the student from possessing a paging device while on school property or while attending a school-sponsored or school-related activity on or off school property.
And the only reason pagers were ever even made an issue is because they were frequently used by drug dealers.
Right. So the policy may provide for the district to dispose of confiscated paging devices in any reasonable manner after having provided the student's parent and company whose name and address or telephone number appears on the device 30 days prior notice of his intent to dispose of that device. A notice shall include a serial number of the device and may be made by telephone, telegraph, or in writing.
Telegraph?
That's what it says.
Western Union discontinued telegraphs.
I'm just saying that's what it says.
10 years
this
ago.
This is board policy. This is state policy. Okay. This is the one I think is funny.
Rewrite your laws, people.
Charge the owner of the device or the student's parent an administrative fee not to exceed $15 before it releases the device. So the state has said that if we get your device, we can charge you $15
to get it back.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. That may be in place. I don't know any district that's going to fight that with a parent.
No.
Because all it's going to do is give more problems. You know what I mean? And it also describes what a paging device is. It says that a paging device means a telecommunications device that emits an audible signal, vibrates, displays a message, or otherwise summons or delivers a communication to the possessor. This term does not include amateur radio.
Oh my God. Okay, so I can take my little ham radio with me. And
it does not got some walkie-talkies, The term does not include the amateur radio under the control of the operator who holds an amateur radio station license issued by the FCC. Okay, so to help with this, now that we know that we are not addicted, but we are compulsive. And Thomas is highly compulsive.
Highly compulsive with his phone use.
There is a book that I picked up a while back called How to Break Up with Your Phone by Catherine Price.
Once again, like a relationship. Now it makes that question sound a little more logical, doesn't it?
Yeah. Now this came out in 2018.
Okay.
It's got a lot of it. The part one is called The Wake Up, where you actually acknowledge there's an issue there.
Right.
What's going on. And
first
part
step
two
is admitting you have a problem.
Part two is the breakup. And so it starts with an open letter to her phone. Phone, you are amazing. I mean that literally. Not only do you allow me to travel across time and space, but I'm amazed at how many nights I've stayed up 3 hours past my bedtime staring at your screen. So that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And again, very much to the smartphone compulsion test. I think a lot of what you just talked to me about on there came from, do you find yourself spending more time on your cell phone or smartphone than you realize?
Mm-hmm.
Do you find yourself mindlessly passing time on a regular basis by staring at your cell phone or smartphone?
Right.
Do you lose track of time? And I'll tell you, that's Thomas. He loses track of time on that one because he'll say that. He'll say, an hour went by and he doesn't realize that he lost an hour. You know?
I think that's probably one of the most common problems that cell phone users have.
Yeah. They enter this mindless drone phase where they just realize.
Yeah.
And that's where, for me, that's like I said, 3 o'clock in the morning. That's what happens to me. I'll start scrolling and then realize it's now 4 o'clock in the morning. So instead of going back to sleep, I've just now been up, for an hour.
Yeah.
So anyway, so the book talks, she walks you through how the phone is designed to make us addicted to it.
Yeah.
It's just like a cigarette.
Yeah.
It's there to increase that compulsion that you want to check it. And then she talks about the brain chemistry, the dopamine, and breaking up with the phone. She gives you a plan, a 4-week plan.
Okay.
To break up with your phone. And so I'll just say that week 1 technology triage is what they call it.
Mm-hmm.
And she actually says, Monday, day 1, do this. Tuesday, day 2, do this.
Mm-hmm.
So download a tracking app so you can actually acknowledge how much you do on it.
Yeah.
Delete social media apps on day 5, Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Changing your habits. Say no to notifications. So turn off notifications.
Right.
Getting your apps cleaned up. Stuff like that. Like tidying up your apps. Download an app blocker. Set boundaries. Like what are wake up times? What are no phone zones and stuff like that. So in the house, like I know Jessica, she says that. She says she doesn't walk around her house with her phone. And that's one thing that I noticed that Thomas and I do. We walk around with our phones. Like when we get up, we leave the bedroom. It goes with us.
Yeah.
She leaves her phone in the bedroom. That's where it stays. Or in the kitchen. That's where it stays. It does not go everywhere in the house.
Wherever she goes.
Right.
Yeah.
Reclaiming your brain. So stop, practice pausing. So it talks to you. This is week 3. Exercising your attention span and meditating.
Mm-hmm.
And prepare for your trial separation, which is then the weekend.
Yeah.
And 4th week, trial separation recap, managing your interventions, clean up the rest of your digital life, check your checking, keep yourself on track. And then at 30 days, you're done. So it's a 30-day breakup plan. And I find day 28 is the 7 phone habits of highly effective people. Coming from a leader and me, from a Covey standpoint, But so it really breaks down, in 30 days, how to actually break up with your phone.
Yeah.
Not only giving you the suggestions of what to do and how to do that,
Mm-hmm.
and also a schedule to do that, but also tells you kind of the whys you are addicted to it too.
So now when she talks about breaking up with your phone, does she define that as not using it at all or decreasing your, is the goal to not use your phone at all or
no,
to decrease its usage?
I think the phone is to have a healthy relationship with your phone.
Okay.
And not have that addiction to it.
Right.
Let's see. So I'm going to read the last thing. I used to think my phone blank. Now I think blank. I've learned that blank. I'm happy to know that blank, and I'm proud of myself for just really kind of limiting, your usage of it. I think. So anyway.
Okay. Because I was going to say that sounds much more practical, because if the goal was to not use it at all, I think in today's society, that's just not really practical.
Well, one of her things though, like on day 27, downgrade to a dumb phone.
Oh yeah.
So you can always go back to your smartphone if it doesn't work out, but you do have the option to go ahead and go there. So that's one of the things that she suggests that we do towards the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Download maps ahead of time.
I remember when you had to do that.
When we had no, option, get a landline. One of the things, get a landline. If you need a phone, hook up your house to it. Get rid of your, basically what it sounds like you're doing is reverting to 1990, going back to what we'd had before, right?
Yeah.
I
mean, and I think, I if you have a genuine problem, if you are genuinely addicted to your phone,
mm-hmm.
Not just with compulsion, but genuinely addicted, then I think a strategy like that is great. And I think that's, a logical solution and a logical treatment
mm-hmm.
for somebody with genuine cell phone addiction.
Right.
For the vast majority of people, it's pretty impractical.
Yeah.
Then you've got the other edge of the sword, downloading your maps. That means you've got to physically look at a map, and you don't have Siri just saying, turn right here,
Yeah, but the other thing with that, though, is a lot of cars have all that built in now.
Well,
your navigation's built into it.
Right. But that sounds like that's it's a slippery slope, and that's close to it. So
I know. Anyway, so wrapping up, I may actually do this
mm-hmm.
because I find social media is mind draining. It's droning. Do you know what I mean? Like
mm-hmm.
Facebook doesn't have the functionality it once did. I see more ads and more things on there than I do.
So you're telling me I'm going to have to keep the Instagram page updated even more than I already do?
Yeah.
Pull your weight.
Yeah.
Or
if I sit down with a dedicated time to work on that.
Well, there you go.
Who's got time for that? It interrupts my naps.
Exactly. I updated it.
I saw.
Middle of the night the other night.
That's because you're awake at the middle of the night, though. You go to bed at 2 a.m.
Well, exactly. So updated at 4 a.m. when you're waking up for the day.
No, like at 4 a.m., my mind is not awake. My eyes are, but my mind is not. That's why I drone. That's why I just basically scroll on droning things.
I hear excuse.
Well, you're going to keep on hearing it.
So what are your final thoughts on cell phone addiction?
I think it's a real thing, obviously. I do think it's starting younger and younger.
Yeah.
And I think that as it does move further and further down on the age ranges, I think we're going to see more and more problems with it, not only in schools, but beyond that. And I think you're going to see the workforce. I mean, think about when you go to a fast food place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're on it more than they are helping you. Same thing with, I've seen in restaurants, even sit down restaurants or retail shops where the person that's working has an AirPod in their ear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're listening to music or whatever they're listening to in one ear and not giving their full attention to the person in front of them they're supposed to be servicing. You know what I mean? So that, I think it's going to get worse and worse on that end. I think that we do have to do something with it. I think that there has to be some sort of a regulation on it, but who's going to regulate it?
Yeah.
You know? So I think that the regulators have to be the parents first. And they have to teach good behaviors and good practices when they start this puberty age kid on this journey with their cell phone.
Teach them phone etiquette.
Yes. Parents who don't even teach reading.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not going to stop that. And I see it in my nephew. It's easier to give them a device, an iPad or some kind of educational device rather than actually communicate with them when we go out to dinner. And so it's there. You know what I mean? Like it's there. It becomes a babysitter at that point.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I think it definitely is a problem. We got to fix it. We got to figure it out.
So my final thoughts are that, I definitely think that something needs to be done. It like I said, it's a part of technology. It's a part of our culture that's here to stay. It's not going anywhere.
Would you call it an epidemic or a pandemic?
And no, I don't think it's at that point, but I think it does have to be managed. And like you said, we have to, it can't come from some authority. The schools can't do it. The government can't do it. It has to be a cultural norm, and it can be done. And here's the perfect example that still relates to cell phones. Young adults and teenagers do not use their cell phones when they're driving or when they're in the car. Have you noticed that? My students, no. Kinsey as well, they have been taught effectively when you are driving, you are not using your phone. And they will, they'll answer hands-free or something like that, but they will not text. And texting, and by and large, has decreased among high school students and young adults. Although I find that when they say texting has decreased, they simply mean the Messenger app. They just chat through other means, whether it's Instagram or Snapchat or something like that.
I think, though, with that aspect, though, you have the option of doing voice text now. Like, I know that you do that a lot.
Yeah.
You voice text.
With punctuation and everything.
Correct.
That's what everybody thinks is funny.
And so that may be an option for them, and that's what they're doing, maybe. I'm glad she doesn't listen to this. Mom, I talked to her on her way home from work the other day. And I said, what are you doing? And she said she was driving home from work. This is 8:00 at night. She was watching Facebook videos on her phone while driving.
Oh, God.
And I had to say something to her. And I had to turn into the parent with that because she said she does it all the time. And I'm like, she's like, no one's on the road. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't know what's going to jump out at you. You don't know if you're going to hit like a tire.
Yeah.
Anything at all. And she's like, well, and I was like, okay, well. And that shows her age also. She's like, I'm not watching Instagram. I'm not watching TikTok. I'm watching Facebook videos. Like, mommy might as well be on MySpace or something, That's how you know it's time to get off Facebook, because when your parents are on it.
Yeah.
When your teachers become TikTok famous, it's time for you to get off of TikTok.
Yeah.
So,
but
anyway.
but that was my point, is that, I've seen already movement in the culture that shows that it is possible. It is possible for us to make it culturally acceptable or unacceptable, depending on which way you're looking at it, to set certain parameters on cell phone usage, whether it be texting and driving, or whether it be, mindless scrolling,
Right.
during the workday or whatever. And so I think that's the approach that society has to take is, tackling it from that way, just like we did with texting and driving as, this is a problem and we need to solve it.
Mm-hmm.
Until that happens, I don't think much is going to change and it's only going to get worse. All right. Ready for trivia?
Yeah.
Okay. What category?
I have no preference.
You want history?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Number 1, what controversial Middle Eastern leader was assassinated on December 27th, 2007?
Saddam Hussein.
Oh, that's what I was thinking. No, it was Benazir Bhutto.
I don't even know who that is, but okay.
I remember the name. I don't remember even what country he led. Number 2, who crowned Charlemagne in the year 800?
I don't know.
Pope Leo II. Let me give you a different page. These are all kind of hard. What was John F. Kennedy called by his friends? As like his first name.
John?
No, what's the common nickname for John?
John?
Jack.
Oh. Well, why don't they just why don't he just change his name to Jack then, if that's the name of it? That's stupid.
Because Jack is a nickname for John.
Why does John need a nickname that's the same amount of letters that Jack is?
Nicknames aren't about shortening.
Yeah, Michael to Mike. Yes, it is.
Well, okay. Nicknames aren't always about shortening.
William to Bill.
I don't know. I don't have an answer.
I'm just saying. Research that for us for next time.
Number 2, which country celebrated the 500th anniversary of its whiskey production in 1994?
Scotland?
Yep. Number 3, whose body was exposed to the world in 1989 as fanatical mourners ripped shreds from his shroud?
1989?
Yeah.
King Tut?
No.
Who?
Ayatollah Khomeini.
Oh.
Number 4.
That's gross.
I know. That's why I went, ew. Number 4, who was Scotland's first minister?
I don't know.
Never heard this name before. Donald Dewar. What is the Flavian Amphitheater now called by tourists in Rome?
Is this page all about? I have no idea.
The Flavian Amphitheater in Rome. What is it called today by tourists?
The Vatican City?
No. The Colosseum.
Okay.
And number 6, what do Keanu Reeves, Pamela Anderson, Shania Twain, and Romeo Dallaire have in common?
Kevin Bacon.
Although I think he might be one too.
What?
They're Canadians.
Oh, I think he is actually. Hey Siri, where is Kevin Bacon from? Oh, no, Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
We're wrong. Then you go to Meghan Trainor? No.
Give me geography.
All right. How many time zones are spanned by Russia?
I have no idea. 6?
No, almost twice.
Oh, really? 12?
11. Yeah. What is Alaska's most populous city, but not its capital?
Oh, Anchorage?
Yes.
Yeah.
What German city is twinned with Edinburgh?
What German city is twinned with Edinburgh?
It's one of the major cities.
Berlin.
No.
Munich.
Yep.
Yeah.
What creatures are said to have given their Latin name to the Canary Islands?
What?
What creatures are said to have given their Latin name to the Canary Islands?
Oh, dogs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which ocean can be reached from Bolivia along the Paraguay River?
Which ocean can be reached from Bolivia along the Paraguay River?
I think where Bolivia's at.
The Atlantic?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What Caribbean republic is the least developed country in the Western Hemisphere?
The Dominican?
No, close.
Haiti?
Yeah.
Oh.
Probably because they get hit with hurricanes every single year.
Yeah, I know. They don't have a
They
chance
have no time
to
be
rebuild.
developed.
Yeah. All right. That does it for this week's episode of From Art to Atoms.
The Ultimate Curiosity Show.
We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope you'll join us again next week when we talk about
the generation gap. We may have a special guest star with us next week.
Yes. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. Hope you have a great week.
Bye. You've been listening to From Art to Atoms, the Ultimate Curiosity Show, episode number 18. Your hosts are Brandon Shoemaker and myself, Michael Fols. The show is produced by Brandon Shoemaker and is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the show to stay up to date on all of our latest episodes and news. If you have any questions, feedback, or suggested topics you'd like for us to dive into, don't hesitate to reach out. You can email us at FromArtToAtoms@gmail.com. We would love to hear from our listeners, and we value your input. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media to stay updated on upcoming episodes and behind-the-scenes content. You can find us on Instagram and YouTube at From Art to Atoms. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to rate and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Your support helps us reach even more interested minds like yours. Thanks for tuning in, and stay curious, everyone.